Hello and welcome back to Coding with Carl. This is episode 25 of the Zero to Android show, the show where you get to watch me learn how to do Android apps. Yeah, good way of putting it. How to do Android apps and get good at Java. This is kind of a marathon edition tonight because the last episode, if you're watching this on YouTube, happened about 10 minutes ago. And it's the first time I've done a marathon. So yeah, the momentum's good. The momentum is good right now. We just had some good success in breaking up our workflow a little bit so that we could have different sized tasks. So a task that lasts 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, right up to 6 hours. And although it's kind of restrictive in a sense, I think it's okay as an alpha, just to get an idea of how this app's going to work long term. So before we get started, if you are watching this, if you just joined or you've never seen any of the shows before, all the videos that I record here on Twitch, I upload them to my YouTube playlist here, Zero to Android, on the Coding with Carl channel. But there is something else that I wanted to briefly ask for your opinions on, and that is that I have currently got a competition running on 99 Designs for logo and icon design for this application when it gets to that point. I think season 2 will be the season where we start looking at the look and feel of this application, and I wanted to have the assets ready for when that happens. So if you look down if you're watching this on Twitch, I've posted in the channel feed down here somewhere the link to this poll, and I was wondering if you guys would be so kind as to give me your ratings on some of these logos and let me know which one you think would be more suitable for the application that we are building. It's not finalized yet. These aren't finalized designs. I'm just kind of curious to see what people envision, as the icon for this app. So I'd appreciate if you could do that. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will also post the link to this poll in the comments on there as well. Okay, so where were we and where do we want to go from here? We were at the point where we wanted to rethink the way we populate this lovely list view or recycler view here, because it's in its current form we aren't able to have tasks that span more than one slot, and we've got to kind of break a few things in order to do this. So that's what we're going to do. Now, the way it works at the minute is we have a slot list, which is a list of these. Where are they? Array list, planner fragment, slot item. So they're here in the planner fragment. Slot items. Now I'm not sure whether this is actually the right place to have this, to be honest. Slot item. It appears here, here, here. So what we're doing is we're generating this list of slot items and then passing it into the RecyclerView adapter. And there's no reason for it to be here. It should probably be inside the RecyclerView adapter where it belongs. Because what we're going to do is we're going to generate this from the database cursor that we pass in. So we're going to simplify the code a bit by taking out one of the parameters for the constructor for the adapter. So I'm going to take this class and move it into this rec adapter. I'm going to bang it in here. So this will now be a subclass of this, if you like. And now that we've removed it from here, we're going to cause some problems because all of this is kind of now in the wrong place. So I'm going to steal that code from there as well. Put that into the recycler adapter somewhere. I think we'll just put it in the constructor for now. Here we are, the constructor. I'm just going to bang it in here for now. View holder.slot item. That's in the wrong place. That should be planner rec adapter.slot item. Or I guess not. I don't know. So we're not actually going to pass this in anymore. That's going to be, all we're going to get is slot results, I guess, because that's the results from the slot table. So we're already starting to break things horrible now, seeing seas of red, but that's okay. We will deal with it. So we don't need any more slot list. Oh, we do actually, we do need that. What we don't need is the slot entries, because we're going to process this when we create the list. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Oh, to answer your question, THMCA, I'm currently drinking lemon green tea, which isn't very English of me, but there you go. On the last stream it was black coffee, which is very programmery. Okay, let's have a look. Got quite a lot of breakage now. Let's restore, let's get our program fragment, a planner fragment to where we want it to be. We're looking here, what does this code do? Write a function to get this as it's duplicated in the planner activity. Is today, set text today, tomorrow, yesterday, or format. That's for the title, that's okay. RecyclerView, this is the meat and potatoes. We do this query. We don't need to pass in slots anymore, we do need to pass in the cursor. Is that all we need to do? Yeah, I think that looks okay. So we have to do the work in here now. And our slot item is going to change somewhat, because where it initially only had a timestamp and a label, now we're also going to associate a... what are we going to associate? What are the other things? We have a row from the database essentially, and that's going to contain, let's have a look at our slots table, a timestamp, goal ID, task ID, and slot size. Well, we've got timestamp, right? It's right there. So we have a public int task ID. We have a public int slot size, and these can also be 0 to indicate that there's an empty slot. Maybe. I don't know. Let's just feel it out. I find a lot of the time when I'm writing code, it's sometimes better to go gung-ho down, you know, and like do exploratory code. You don't have to plan everything out before you do it. I think it's sometimes better to just feel it out. You know, write the code as you would want to see it, and then if it's not feasible, go back and start again. And that's what we're going to do. We're just going to feel it out. So yeah, so we're going to create this slot item with a timestamp and a label. And then I think we should also, can we have a second one that takes a different, so we can do int task ID and slot size as well. But it also has a goal, doesn't it? It does, yeah, we're missing the goal there, so. Goal ID. So, I guess we'll kind of like hard code all those to 0. Can we do that? Is that okay? Looks okay. Not sure whether that's best practice in Java or not. And then if we invoke this constructor, then we're also going to pass in those 3 things. It's okay for those to be 0. But, okay, so task ID can never be null. Is it worth having a Boolean flag on this that just says if it's occupied? Because these things can, slot size can't be 0 either, actually, thinking about it. That has to be a positive integer. Yeah. Okay, let's do this dot goal ID equals goal ID. This dot task ID equals task ID. And this dot slot size equals slot size. Very simple constructors. So, what's next? We will have a slot list. What we won't have is slot entries, so that can go away. And this is going to be a slot item. It's going to be in the RecyclerView, not the adapter. This is in the view holder. I've put this in the wrong place. Forgive me. I want that here. And it doesn't look like this midnight timestamp thing is getting used. I'm just going to put remove there. Okay, so that should work now. Yeah, that looks good. And then this is the view holder. And that's fine because that has everything we need. That has the boolean is occupied on it. What we need to do is, when we are constructing the let's have a look. RecyclerView adapter. So when we create the adapter, we pass in slot results. We're not going to store it, so that can go away. Midnight TS is being used, it's right there. GG. Why do you think you're not being used? It's assigned but never accessed. Field can be converted into a local variable. Does that mean we are only using it in one place? Midnight TS. Yeah, it can be a local variable. Android programming. Disgusted face. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I'm with you. Vim plugin feel good, man. Yeah, it does feel good. Feels good on the fingers. Although it is a bit of a memory hog, it actually nearly ground my machine to a halt the other day, and I'm not sure whether that's because of high CPU usage, memory leak. I don't know. Maybe it's just because this platform is built on Java. Who knows? Midnight TS. It says it's never used again. Do we even need it? Not sure. Let's comment it out, stick a to-do on it. Word of her. Do we need this? Question mark. So here we are. This is where we are going with it. So yep, slot item slots equals new array list. And then we're going to create 48 slots potentially. We are going to potentially create 48 slots. I think what we need to do is we need to start looking through. Maybe what we need to do is, we've got two ways of doing this. We can either loop through. Let's create some notes, right? We can either loop through our slot results from the DB, check to see, check the difference between the last created slot and the slot that we're iterating on, or the slot in the current iteration, and then generate the missing entries. Or we can loop through 0 to 47, creating slots as we go, and loop over the DB results in every iteration. See, this is already starting to sound like a bad idea, isn't it? In every iteration, and break from that loop in future iterations. This sounds like a really bad idea, doesn't it? If the slot size would encompass them. Now that sounds like a massive ball ache. So this one, I think, is out. I think this is a better idea. So let's think about how that's going to work. We will look at the first entry in the slot table, if we have any at all. So 1. Do we have any slots in the DB? If not, loop from 0 to 48. Possibly create a method that can generate X slots, or should I say N slots, from a timestamp. That sounds good. 2. If we do have slots in the DB, then we will have some notion of the last created slot. We will look at the difference. We'll get the next row from the DB result, diff the timestamp from the timestamp of the last generated slot, which starts at the midnight TS, and generate the missing ones. Then generate the one. Generate the one from the DB. And 3. Repeat until we reach 2330. That sounds like a decent algo. I can go with that. So, question from Hertz3H. What is this app about? It is supposed to be something that will help me to prioritize my long-term goals So what I'd like it to do is, I have a number of goals. One of those goals might be learn Java, and I'm committing to investing time towards that goal. So the app will provide me with the means to do that by allowing me to allocate slots of my day to that goal. And then when I start one of those tasks, I want it to log the number of minutes that I'm engaged with that task, and then be able to show me long term how many minutes or hours or days I have spent pursuing a certain goal. So it'd be like, learn Java, you have spent 6,000 hours here. That'd be insane, right? But I'd be a pretty good Java developer at the end of it. And the whole idea is, the idea behind the name of 10K is that I read something that said that if you spend 10,000 hours doing anything, you consider yourself an expert, which kind of opens the doors for us to have some kind of achievement system, steps along the way to that. But also I'd like it to kind of nag me and remind me that, I said, I committed to building a bigger chest, or, learning Japanese, and I hadn't committed any hours to it during the week, or I hadn't planned to spend any hours doing that, and to force me to kind of rethink my goals and then prioritize them until I get to a point where my focus is like laser targeted, like these are my goals and this is how much time I've spent towards them, and just to track really the progress of them. So that's the idea behind the app really. And then like long term, down at the bottom here, I've got things like achievements, Alexa integration. It's going to be pretty cool, I think. It should definitely help me to focus, on to be more focused and to spend less time procrastinating or waffling on as I'm doing now. So yeah, we've got like a basic idea for an algo here, and it's pretty simple. So let's jump in and build it. So this this here, not really sure I want to do that. I'm going to create a new private method. It's going to be, I guess, void for now. It's going to be called fill the gap from timestamp to maybe it should be start timestamp and end timestamp, and then you've got the question of whether it's inclusive or not. I think what I'd like to do is start timestamp and then int end slots. How many slots do you want me to generate? I'll generate them for you. And I guess that should probably return an array list, maybe. And then what? Should it? I mean, I can operate on an existing array list, or I can just merge two array lists. Like, what's the most expensive operation there? Can I pass by reference in Java? Pass by reference in Java. Java does manipulate objects by reference, and all object variables are references. However, Java doesn't pass method arguments by reference. It passes them by value. The method successfully alters the value of 0.1 even though it's passed by value. However, a swap of 0.1 and 0.2 fails. So I think then that I'm allowed to alter the things in an array list. However, it will copy if yeah. Let's try it. It's the worst we can do, right? So we're going to take, let's just put a space there so it doesn't auto-complete array list, and that's going to be planner rec adapter. No, it's not. Yeah, it is. Not slot item, and that's going to be, we'll call that slot list. It's done it. Slot list. Let's put this on a new line, tidy it up a bit. Yeah, so that's going to take the slot list. This is going to return void, or maybe it should return integer, the number it generated. But then, am I splitting hairs? Yeah, I don't think it needs to return anything actually. So fill the gap from in this slot list. Fill the gap. Slot list timestamp number of slots. Okay, so it's going to be something like this loop. Let's have a look. So we have the start in TS, and I'll do this explicitly because it's going to make the whole thing easier to read. Oh, sorry. Question from Hertz3H. All right, cool. The only annoying part is having to manually set time you spend on each task. Automated would be good too. Yeah, that's actually a really good suggestion. And also, it's kind of on my long-term feature list that there are going to be certain things that you do every single day. So you can automatically populate those. Say 7 AM might be your morning routine. You don't want to have to put that on every single day. You just want it to be in your list. Or, you know, you might go to the gym at 3 PM every day. You just want it to auto-populate. But yeah, that's going to be coming soon, I think. It's a hot feature. Hi, Dragon Dust. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, we need a starting timestamp, don't we? And that is going to be the midnight TS, which is right there. So we answered our own question there. That's where we're starting from. And I guess we need a slot for that timestamp if, let's play it through. So we need a do while. Do something while cursor db cursor. I like that better because I know what it is. It's kind of ambiguous before. Cursor db cursor dot get next. What is it? Move to next. What we should probably do first is move to first. db cursor dot move to first, just to be sure. Alien reference there, aliens reference should I say. Move to next, right there. And what we're going to do in here, we are going to first of all get the timestamp of the... Do you know what? Do we have that information? How do we do that down here? Just by the index. That's not great, is it? Where would I put it though? Would I put it in here or would I put it elsewhere? Let's create it here for now. Or maybe it should be in fragment, because this is the one that does the query, right? Timestamp, name, slot size. Also, I'm kind of worried that we won't be able to do delete with this data, but you know, we're jumping ahead there. We're jumping ahead. So let's create some more of these. So we'll have timestamp query timestamp index. That's 0. And then this one will be query task name index. Is that 1? Where's the query gone? There it is. MB. Next one is goal name. So that's goal name. And then next task name is 2, I believe. And the last one is slot size, right? So task D9 that way. Slot size index. That's going to be 3. I think. Let's just check B. Yeah, it is. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's right. So we just have to make sure that we don't that we update this if we ever update the query, which I don't really love, but is what it is. Where were we? We were in the RecyclerView adapter. And we were here. So, after that derail, we're going to do int result timestamp or row timestamp equals cursor, yeah, that'll do, dot get int column index is going to be planner fragment adapter, was it in, or fragment dot query timestamp index. Vim fail. And then, so we need some notion of in last created timestamp. That's going to be midnight, isn't it? Yeah. So we're going to set that to midnight TS. Okay. So we have now have the row timestamp and the midnight timestamp. So we're going to attempt to create a slot entry for this after we fill the gap. So how do we figure out the gap? What we do is we look at the row timestamp, we take away the last and that's going to give us the number of seconds. So int diff seconds is row timestamp Or do we, is that right? Yeah, row timestamp. And obviously we need this to be able to do it. Minus the last created timestamp. Now there's going to be some overlap here, I think, because I often screw up when doing stuff like this, but we take baby steps. How do we figure out how many slots we need to generate from there? We are going to, and I need to be very careful with this because I had a massive screw up on the yesterday because I didn't realize that Java doesn't do floating point math by default like PHP does and JavaScript does. So I need to make sure that this happens in floating point because we are dealing in fractional when I do this. But I think int, what are we, slots, n slots to create or backfill is, it's going to be the diff seconds divided by, and that's an integer, so I've already screwed this up, divided by 3600 times 2, right? And I'll do that like that and that like that. And do this as a float just to super make sure that that happens the way I want it to, because that should give me, what's the problem? Double. It's not, yeah, I want this whole calculation here to happen as a double, right? But I want it's always gonna end up as a whole number, so I want to cast the result of that to an integer, and I want this to be an integer. And hopefully that won't screw up, but I'm gonna add a breakpoint there, just because I spent an hour debugging something like that yesterday. So what's the problem? It's just that it's not being used, right? So the red highlight is just the breakpoint that I've just created. Okay, so that's slots to backfill, and from that we can do this dot fill the gap, and then we have what? A slot list to pass in. Of course, that's missing. Slots. That is a that's wrong. This is wrong. Because slot list doesn't exist anymore, does it? To do this is wrong. So let's just carry on for now so that I don't lose my train of thought. Slots is what we're going to pass in there. Timestamp is going to be, so it's from timestamp, so it's going to be the last created timestamp. And then what's the next parameter? The number, n slots to backfill. Okay, and from that, after that, the smart thing to do would be to and then we'll create the slot that corresponds to the one that we're actually dealing with, and we'll use the big constructor for that. So we'll do slots.push, is it, or append or add? There we go, slot item, and that slot item is going to be new slot item, new item equals new slot item, and we're going to use the big constructor, and the big constructor MAGG is this one here, YA, there we go, P. Oh, so we have timestamp, label, goal ID, all that jazz, right? So there, let's bring all those in. Timestamp is going to be it's going to be the row timestamp. The label is going to be, hi, I sent a whisper. Someone is whispering to me. I will answer your question after the stream because I can probably give it a bit more attention. So yeah, I'll answer that question after my train of thought has reached the station. Label. Where do we get the label from? The label is going to be... The label's created here, isn't it? So... yeah, so I guess we need that. So new date, working timestamp. So we can do that, we can do that, we can do that. And the format, slot item, working TS, format, current date. Yeah, so it's all here. Yeah, so we don't need, all we need from that is the cdf.format. And cur date equals new date, working timestamp times 1000 because it's milliseconds, and working timestamp is row timestamp. Simple date format, CDF equals new simple date format, yep. Set time zone TZ, we don't have that, we should probably get it. We'll put it here, we'll do TZ equals, sorry, it's going to be time zone TZ equals time zone dot get default. So that's settled there, and then cdf.format code, that's going to be string label equals that, and we don't need that, and we don't need that. What we do need, however, is to make sure that we are importing these. Ooh, which one is it? Is it that one or that one? I need to know more. Java util date. Let's try that one and hope for the best. Simple date format, we need that too. We'll use java.text. So now we have the label. Int goal ID is the next one. And we have that from the, what do we do? db cursor dot get string. Yeah, get string. Column index is going to be planner. Where does it come from? Planner fragment dots. There we go. Query goal name index. And then similar here for the task name. Why did I have task ID there? That's wrong. These aren't integers at all. Yeah, these are strings and they're not IDs. That was a mistake. Goal name. So they can't. I guess they can be empty. Task name. Slot size is an integer, so those two need to change. String goal name, string task name, and slot size. Yeah, and then obviously this doesn't exist, so C word goal name dot there. Task name, okay, that's okay. Where were we? A. There. Yeah, get string, that's all good, that's all gravy. This one, however, is not. Query task name index. And then slot size is. That's important. It's important that we do this properly. This is going to be get int query slot size index slots.add new item, and then we need to move forward. What's the problem? The problem is this. we need to move forward now the last created timestamp, not just to the row timestamp, but if the slot size is more than 1, we need to move it forward a little bit more. Shouldn't you have a check before move to first in case the DB is empty? We absolutely should. Thank you for that. Let's do check for empty. Last created timestamp plus equals row timestamp times this is going to be where I come unstuck. So the size of a slot is 3600 divided by 2, isn't it? It's 30 times 60, 1800. So it's going to be like row timestamp plus equals 30 times 60 times slot size. Row slot size equals, okay, got a stray space there, and then obviously that's screwed up there, so I'll get rid of that, and then this here, I can take this whole line and replace it with row slot size, and then there, row slot size. So what does that do? That takes the timestamp and then it advances it by half an hour. Should it be slot size -1 then? Because I don't actually want to append anything to it if it's just the row slot size. I think that's right. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, we'll find out. And we'll fix it. So what have I done here? Plus equals. That shouldn't be there. Yeah, that looks okay. I think. Yeah, because that could be 0 if the slot size is 1. Yeah, that's fine. I think. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Do while. Okay, so that does need to be there. And I should probably take it to there. Yeah, that was good. Put some space in. Okay. Does this algorithm work? We need to make sure that it's limited to 48 slots. So it should be, but we need to do a backfill if so what's going to happen if the last entry in the slot table is 2100, then we're going to stop here because there is no move to next, and then we're going to have to backfill everything from midnight. Right? So I think we need to first of all, we need to find out what the last slot needs to be. So after we've done this, we need to calculate the diff from the last created timestamp to midnight and backfill. So that's kind of just what we're doing here. And I'd like to do it inside the loop, but I'm not sure it's possible because we are iterating over that. So we have the last created timestamp. We need to do the diff seconds, get the slots to backfill, and then fill the gap. Diff seconds equals midnight. I need midnight, so it's going to be whatever midnight TS is plus 23 times 60 times 60, or is it 23.5 times 60 times 60? And that is this is a double operation. $23.5 times 60 times 60, because the last one we create should be 11:30. It shouldn't be midnight. Yeah. So the diff seconds, or we could do midnight and then just decrease the slots. Yeah, I don't know. I need to get better at using math in Java. So I think the smart thing to do is to do this somehow as a float operation. Hopefully, double there. Plus 23 times 60 times 60. 23.5 times 60 times 60. Hopefully that'll be enough to tell Java to use floating point math for this. Minus last created timestamp. What's the problem with this? It returns a double, so I guess I need to do that. And do I need to cast that as a double as well? It'd be a real shame if I did. I mean, what does it take to tell Java to use floating point math? Tell Java to use floating point math. Does anybody in the stream know? Like, how much is the bare minimum I need to do to say, do this operation as a floating point operation? I'm not sure. Oh, here we go. Hertz3H. You have to cast just like you did. Last created is an int. So do I have to make sure that all the operands of this this expression are cast in order for it to do floating point operations on them? It's kind of a ball ache. Double. Have I gone over the 8 character limit there? What's the problem? Double, double, double. So everything's double, and then I'm going to cast that back to an integer after. Does that expression work? I think so. Midnight TS plus the amount of seconds it would take to fill the whole thing. And then minus the last created timestamp will give us the amount we need to backfill. And then, yeah. So we can, I think, skip this loop if... Yeah, that's good, because we can skip the loop then if it turns out that this move to first returns null, or if it's empty. So let's do if db cursor dot, is it length or size? Number count, get count does not equal 0, then this. Yeah, because then if we have nothing, it's just going to backfill the whole lot. We know that that's wrong. We need a better way of getting this midnight TS. In fact, that's passed in, isn't it? It's passed in. We have this .timestamp, I think, which is. I don't know. We'll look at that in a minute. So we've done that to do there. Yeah. So now, last created timestamp. That isn't being. Yeah, that needs to be like up here. And then all of this we no longer need. We need to do this fill the gap now though. So we're going to do new slot items for all of them. So it's going to be this sort of thing. And these we can use the smaller constructor because we don't have, they're actually unoccupied. So slots, slot list. So this all hinges on the idea that by passing this slot list in here, it gets passed by reference. I'm not sure if it does. If it does, then it should allow me to add to it. And it should just be that I'm not allowed to actually change the location in memory that that variable points at. I hope. So what are we doing? What are we doing? We need to put this in a loop. We have a start timestamp and then we increment the number of slots. So we'll do a for loop. Int I equals none. And then while I is less than n slots, space these out a bit so they're easier to read. Plus plus I. And then we'll use the smaller constructor, which just takes these two, I think. Let's have a look. Marker A, GG. Where are we? Slot item. This one. Timestamp and label. That's all it takes. A. Timestamp, label. Get rid of these. So we need to generate the label. So the timestamp is going to be the start timestamp plus I times 1800, is it not? So if it's 0, that'll be nothing. Yeah, I think that's right. And the label is we're going to need to get that data format stuff out of here. So what do we need? We could probably put this in a utility function. So we do like, yeah, let's do that. MB, got A, and then here we'll have private void format timestamp, and that's going to take a timestamp. And then P, timestamp. We don't need to have the time zone where it was now, so let's go back up here and find it. There. A. P. And then we can just return that. This is going to be a string. Okay, I think that'll work. So the label is going to be this dot format timestamp, and then it's going to be that, I guess. Y int new timestamp equals that. So then we can new timestamp, format timestamp, new timestamp. What's the problem? That is the problem. And that is slot list. That should work. Yep. I think that's okay. Whew. That was some hardcore code in there. Question is, does it work? Let's have a read through just to make sure that we are sane. Obviously we need to change this now to label. What are we doing? We're doing row timestamp, right? So string label equals this dot format timestamp row timestamp. And where does label get used? Is it just once? Just once, so we can get rid of that as well. That makes things a little bit easier to read. I'm going to move this breakpoint to here. He says F8 not working. It has to be on a line with code on it. Okay, let's have a quick read through then and check. Let's have a check. Coming towards the end of a second hour now, I'm considering rolling straight into a third. What do you guys think? Should we carry on coding deep into the night and get slot size bashed out in one night? Do you think we can do that? Okay. So we take the context and the DB cursor. This midnight TS, this is a problem for us. We need to know where we're starting from. We need to know what the midnight timestamp is here, and we were passing it in before. So I think we need that actually. I think we need integer start timestamp. Yeah, which is going to make, it's going to create a problem here for us, because when we create the adapter, we need to pass in the timestamp. Is it the start timestamp? Start TS? It's in here. MA, what have we got? Fragment, day start TS right there. I think that'll do it. Yeah, I think that's okay. So next, where's the errors? We've got a ton of errors to resolve now. Yeah, so we should have now a slot list. And where is that? That's there, so that's local. But that needs to be what's this? On click. So this is the first problem. On click. We've got the render function, which is a huge problem as well. I really don't want to lose momentum. I think I'm gonna do another hour. Yeah. Because there's all this here as well. Bind view holder. This is where stuff actually gets rendered. And that is like the next thing that we need to do. So slot entries, like that's one of the things we deleted. Slot entries was, yeah, and then we were iterating over that. Now that's gone. And we have a slot list instead. That's the adapter. Yeah, that's the subclass for the view holder. And then that's the slot item list. God, there's a hell of a lot in here. This has become a bit of a behemoth. A behemoth? I don't know how you pronounce that. So we do have slot list up here, and one of the mistakes we are making is here we are we're basically declaring it as a local variable, and it needs to be this here. Needs to just be slot list. Where is it? This dot slot list. Yeah, equals new array list, and that's okay, is it? And then slots needs to change. C word slot list. N dot N dot N. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm going to break here for 10 minutes or so, guys. And then I'm going to come back and do a third hour. I think I'm really feeling the momentum, and I don't want to stop just yet. And I'm sure Twitch will love it and give me some kind of achievement as well, which would be great, won't it? If you have any questions, guys, about this last hour, feel free to ask them. I will do my best to answer them in a witty and charming manner. I'm going to break tradition here and not check my changes into version control because I have so many errors right now to fix. But there's no point in me doing the usual shutdown routine because we are still kind of working on the same thing. But yeah, if for the benefit of YouTube, I'm going to break here. So this is episode 25, isn't it? So the next one will be 26. I should make a note of that. Ep 26. Yeah. Great. Really good. We are cooking on gas. Hype for another hour. Me too. In before runs the app, nothing goes right. Yeah, so hopefully in the next episode we will get this rendering and it will break horribly, and then we will figure out what's wrong and fix it. Fingers crossed. So thank you all for staying with me. This is a lot of fun, a hell of a lot of fun, and yeah, I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks, guys. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Ciao.